Hey guys, Broheen here from the Gamers Emporium, bringing you a warrior guide. This spec has been outdated on my channel and brought to my attention by somebody who commented on the old video asking if my Voidknight spec was still the current one for 3.2, and I had to say no, so that kind of prompted me to kind of get on making a new updated guide for this. So let's take a look at the skill tree for Voidknight right away. It's 61 Voidknight, filler up, 15 Paladin, so the 5 goes in a good defense, 5 in Vengeful Wrath, and 5 in Enduring. You want to use Tempest, because you'll get enhanced conductivity buff out of there. And then your mastery is 61, Shield Wall, 62 is Protective Aura, 63 is Runner's Training, 64 is Deliberate Strikes, and 65 is Power Variation. Get out of there. So now as far as the bar setup goes, there's 3 buffs that you use: Unstable Void, Enhanced Conductivity, and Accord of the Rift. Now Accord of the Rift is going to do all of your other accords, so you don't have to worry about those. It's all summed up into one. And then Unstable Void also casts Void, so there's no need to have both of those on the bar. The top bar that I have here is based on, like secondary abilities and cooldowns. So, talking about the cooldowns first, your biggest one is Fusion of Flesh. That's a 75% absorb damage for 20 seconds, 2-minute cooldown. In my opinion, your next best one is Protective Shield. You consume 5 of your packs, which is these guys here. We'll explain that a little bit later. But you consume up to 5 packs. That gives you basically mitigation for 6% per pack consumed, so that's a total of 30%. It only lasts 5 seconds, and it does give you an attack point. Now, Rift Shield is the next one. It's a 45-second cooldown. You can consume up to 5 packs again to mitigate damage 5% per pack, so a total of 25%, and that will last 30 seconds. So that one's a little bit better for if you're anticipating a big hit, but you're not really sure when it's going to drop. If it's one of those random mechanics, this is good to have on just in case, you need to have the extra time rather than using Protective Shield. 5 seconds goes by, and then it falls off, and then the attack hits, and you're kind of fucked at that point. So Power Shield is another good one. That one is consume up to 5 packs to reduce incoming damage by 4% per pack consumed for 4 seconds. Again, another short one, so that'll be a total of 20% damage mitigation. And it also adds an Absorb Shield that absorbs 272, well, for me, 272 damage per pack consumed, so that's about another 1,200 or so. And that applies up to 5 party or raid members. Also lasts 30 seconds. So there's, quite a lot of damage cooldowns. I mean, there's even Devouring Shield, which is technically a self-heal. It absorbs 10k damage-ish, but it's got a 1 and 30-second cooldown, and 10k damage is nothing now. So, I mean, I don't even know why I have this on my bar, but I do. So, now, the first spot here, I haven't gotten into macros yet, but I do have an AOE macro here, and Spell Sunder, which is remove a buff, but it'll apply a pact to you. So if you need, you're in a bind and you need an extra pact, then you can just use that to remove one of the enemy's buffs and apply a pact to you. And then Rift Reversal, kind of again another cooldown. However, it requires 3 attack points, and then over the next 3 attacks for 12 seconds, if you use it at 3 points, that is, you'll actually reflect damage back from your attacker back to them. The main bar here, I've got 2 macros, which will be explained again in just a moment. Make sure you have Aggressive Block on your bar. Got an Interrupt macro, Unstable Reaction, Discharge, Spark, my 2 pulls that are macro together, and Air Burst. So now let's take a look at those macros, and then we'll go into how to actually apply this. So the first macro that I first said was my AOE macro. So it's basically an AOE builder. Basically, if you read what Tempest does there, it has this little part of the description there that says generate significant threat. That's nice for if you go into like maybe a trash pull, you can open with this builder and it'll hit everything, I believe, up to 10 nearby enemies and generate tons and tons of threat on there. So that's a good start to like a trash pull. However, if you're going against a boss, you're going to want to stay with the single target builder, which is based on Reckless Strike. So Reckless Strike at 10 packs hits like a truck. So you'll notice with Voidknight, even when you're using single target, you're going to do a lot of DPS compared to other tanks. So I have Retaliation in there, Spellbreaker, Reckless Strike, and then Shock Pulse in case you're at range, which is also the other benefit to having Tempest in here. Aggressive block, you're definitely going to want to keep this up. This is I think I have to test this real fast. I think the mastery keeps it up. Nope, it is 15 seconds. I thought there was a mastery that may have boosted that to 21 seconds, but it's 15 seconds. So every 15 seconds, you definitely want to keep aggressive block up because it's going to give you your block chance increased by 3%. And damage done by attacks that must follow a block are also increased by 5%. So again, more DPS out of it. I know tanks aren't really supposed to do DPS, but if they can, why not, right? It's only going to help the raid or the dungeon in that case. My interrupts here, I have basically a stop casting function, and then cast Furious Rage and cast Shock. So you get 2 interrupts with this spec, which is a plus. Unstable Reaction, a lot of times people use this as an opener, and that's absolutely okay. You can either use Unstable Reaction because of its high damage to either single target and AoE. So you can open with both with that if you like. However, it takes 3 attack points, and it's a 6-second channel, and it has a 15-second cooldown. So opening with it is a good idea. However, you don't have to open with it. If you're going against single target or AoE, you can definitely open with one of these 2 macros. Discharge is on the bar in case you're at range for some reason. Maybe you're at range because Finric, for example, he does a knockback for when the tanks have to switch. So while you're at range, you can either Unstable Reaction him from far away, or you can discharge him, and Discharge will actually consume 3 packs, so there is a limit to it. So maybe start with Discharge first in a scenario like that just to keep some DPS up before you can get back in and start using your normal single target builder or AoE depending on the situation. Spark and Airburst, those are both your taunts, your force taunts. Spark is single target, Airburst is AoE, and then Void Summons. We have Void Summon, which I'm drawing a blank. Let me open this up. I believe one of them is AoE pull, and the other is not. So okay, Void Summon is first. That's an AoE pull, so that'll pull 5 enemies, and it will root them and force them to attack you for 3 seconds. So essentially another taunt. And then Rift Summon is a single target that does the same thing. So essentially you have 4 taunts here. So you can see the capabilities of how Voidknight is definitely one of the most OP tanks in the game, in my opinion. So Spell Destruction, I just keep on the bar kind of on the side just in case. But what it does is it's basically an AoE purge. It'll remove 1 buff and 1 poison, curse, or disease from up to 5 allies, so should you decide to use it on yourself and your group. So it's either a cleanser or purge, but 1 minute cooldown on that. So be aware, once you do it, you won't be able to do it again for a minute. So now that we've explained the way my bars are set up, I mean, there's definitely more to this spec and more to the tanking. You know, there's more utility. But for standard dungeons, which is what most of you guys are going to be doing with this, this will work just fine. So, unfortunately, I don't really have a good set of mobs planned out or anything like that, but I'll just show it off here. So when you use your AoE, you'll see, you know, this is all going to hit multiple enemies, and it's going to generate significant threat. And then for the finishers, typically you want to start with Unstable Reaction, because you have those 3 attack points, and this is going to do lots of AoE damage. So let's say you're continuing your AoE pull, you're still generating, then you just want to use your single target finisher, which I just realized I didn't explain. I apologize. Devouring Blow and Shock Pulse are in here for your finisher. So your finisher really is Devouring Blow, but Shock Pulse is there in case of a disconnect that you can still do DPS. So I apologize about that. So now with single target, you're just going to spam this. When you have 3 attack points, perfectly okay to use Unstable Reaction, keep the DPS up. I mean, this ability hits incredibly hard. And then you just go back into single target, stand here, get your face hit a bunch of times, and just keep doing, you know, button number 1 for me, and then button number 2 finisher. Every other time, you'll have an Unstable Reaction up. It takes about 15 seconds or so in order to go from an Unstable Reaction to going back through your 3 builders, then a finisher. Then once you pump up to 3 more attack points, Unstable Reaction just came open. So you can do that over and over and over. And just remember, keep your aggressive block up at all times, and you'll be golden. Should you disconnect, you can use Discharge, and it'll consume some packs, but it also has, you know, that 5-second cooldown. So basically between Discharge, maybe it might be a good idea to put Discharge and Shock Pulse in a macro together, just in case it can be your ranged disconnect button. But even if you're standing back here, you can use Discharge, and then you can use your regular spam, and it will Shock Pulse. You can use your finisher, and it will Shock Pulse. So it's set up for pretty much no matter what you're hitting, whether it's the AoE, the single target, or your finisher. Should you disconnect, you will have an ability that will cast, not like you're sitting there idle. So that's pretty much it, guys. So go out, test this, maybe test it on some mobs out in in the world before going into a dungeon, just to see how it works, and maybe get your buttons arranged good, and then go try it in dungeons. It is my belief that this spec will not fail you. It works very, very well. Again, it's not like as in depth as the forum spec that's on there, but I will leave a link to the forum guide that I used, and I will make sure that the macros are in the description for you, and I'll actually add this Discharge and Shock Pulse macro in there as well, so that way everything is completely set up for you. You can arrange it how you like, and then go and get your face hit over and over by all the bosses that you can. So, alright, any questions, please feel free to comment. Let me know if there's any way that you think I can make the spec better. Also, please let me know via comments, and hit that like button, and subscribes are appreciated. So, thanks again for the support, everybody. Have a good day.